Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah.
It's okay. You know, the last week I think that was not okay, and I couldn't find the recordings, so I'm not sure whether we've done this bhashya for number 11.
We haven't done.
We haven't done bhashya. Yeah, that's what I thought, but I just wondered if we had left it half. We had not left it half. We have not touched it at all. Okay.
Okay. And this isn't working then?
No, it is not labeled properly, or maybe it got, because one of the things, what is that, one Dindima class was called Mundaka, but actually it was Dindima. Maybe it was something is not okay, I think, with that.
Yeah, I think I know what it is. What's happened is that one time it got closed down, and then when it comes back up, then it labels it to whatever comes in there.
Yes. So there was,
is it just two of them?
No, there is 4 or 5 that are, some of them are called live casters. They don't have a title, and one of them or 2 of them are misnamed.
So 2 of them are misnamed.
Yeah, and then 2 others, and 2 others are
live caster.
Yeah, it says podcaster or live caster.
I just have to. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. These things happen. We've been having trouble with that. ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Not yet Parikshya Lokam, but the one before that. I have to finish the bhashya. Finish what? We haven't started it, I am informed. So, now we chant the mantra 11, 1 to 11. That's what we are on. तपश्रद्धेये ह्युपवसन्त्यरण्ये तपश्रद्धेये ह्युपवसन्त्यरण्ये शान्ता विद्वांसो भैक्षचर्याञ्चरन्तः
शान्ता विद्वांसो भैक्षचर्याञ्चरन्तः
सूर्यद्वारेण ते विरजाः प्रयान्ति
सूर्यद्वारेण ते विरजाः प्रयान्ति
यत्रामृतस्य पुरुषो ह्यव्ययात्मा
यत्रामृतस्य पुरुषो ह्यव्ययात्मा.
I want to contrast this mantra with something that went earlier. If I can draw your attention to mantra number 5. Eteshu yascharate bhrajamaneshu. 5 in the same section. You just go 4 mantras back, 4-5 mantras back. We are on 11 and go to 5. So, tam nayanti eteshu yascharate bhrajamaneshu yatha kalam cha ahutayo hi adadayan te nayanti etaha suryasya rashmayah yatra, the last line, yatra devanam patihi indrasya ekodhivasah, you know, and this is also talking of one loka. This one is also talking of one loka. Only thing is, one is higher than the other. In mantra number 5, what is being discussed is a loka that is what? Where Indra is the ruler. Yatra devanam patihi ekodhivasa. And even though it is called Brahmaloka, it is not Brahmaloka. It is called Brahmaloka, we saw in the Bhashya, because it has a because of the context, because Brahmaji and everybody is involved. But this, in mantra 5, the results of kevalam karma, punya karma. If you do good punya karma, day and night, keep feeding the ghee, you know, like there is no tomorrow, and make several runs to the Indian shop and keep buying ghee and keep feeding the ghee and keep lighting the fire, then what will happen? You will have chai with Indra for a very long time. That's what will happen. So this is what is expressed here. You know, this is the whole kind of a thing. Now we add a little more to this, you know, to the karma. Karmas are now simplified. Why? Because the people have gone to the we saw tapah tapas shraddhe, tapascha shraddha cha, tapas shraddhe dual, you know, and here tapas doesn't mean standing on one leg, shraddha doesn't mean shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Tapas is what? You know, tapas is shraddha is meditation, and tapas here is small nitya karma, simply done, you know, simple life and meditation. And then it's not that they've given up the nitya karma, but they are not, you know, since they are living in a wooded area, like a forested area, they have simplified it. And so this combination of, which is called jnana karma samuchaya. Jnana here doesn't mean satyam jnanam anantam, neither does it mean atma jnanam. Jnana here just means various tapas, various upasanas, you know. And like what is that? Angushtamatra purushah madhye atmani tishtati. Various kinds of visualizations of purusha here coded as hiranyagarbha. You know, hiranyagarbha upasana. Upasana centered on hiranyagarbha, or connect with that which connects you to hiranyagarbha. What is hiranyagarbha? The subtle truth of that Bhagavan manifested in the form of that creative potential. This is what it is. So this Hiranyagarbha alone, this Hiranyagarbha centered upasana, Bhagavan from the manifestation of the subtle, you know, yet manifesting potential, that Shakti is what is invoked. So this Hiranyagarbha is what is understood as the center of the upasana. And then Hiranyagarbha upasana, as we have seen consistently in the Kathopanishad Bhashya, also takes you to the outskirts of samsara. Yeah, to the furthest shore of samsara. But still it is a shore, right? Yeah. And it's a shore means what? You are washed ashore again. Yeah, don't think this is moksha. But this is far better. This can be a preparation if it's used properly. It has the elements of all the preparations for what is going to come in verse number 12. And so this is, this is why is this verse given here? To show that other than chai with Indra, chai with Hiranyagarbha is more preferable. Because when you have tea with Hiranyagarbha, biscuits and coffee cake and dhoklas are included. Yes, it is high tea because it's on the highest level of the end of samsara. Yes. Your legs are dangling from cloud number 9 and you're sitting at the table, which is also another cloud with Hiranyagarbha smiling benignly on all of the people assembled. It's like any kind of a, what is that, select, these politicians have this. Election time, one plate. Plate means the food that you're going to eat along with this famous fellow, who may become the president. One plate is $2,000. This is what I think that each individual can give in this country as a contribution. So 2,000 is the maximum. So the plate costs 2,000. Yeah, to find some dead animal there. So you go there and then you pay $2,000 to eat this animal along with some famous fellow. This is what the whole thing is. Yeah. Served along with some ghas foos, leaves and all kinds of things. This is what you do. So this is, you just extrapolate it to some other loka, removed from this, from this place, not, where some famous personality like Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is full of magic. It is why the leaves fall in the fall. That it is what makes the spring come back. It is what makes everything happen. This is Hiranyagarbha is a magician. This is Bhagavan in the form of all magic, all creative potential, all knowledge. This, Bhagavan sits at the head of the table in the form of Hiranyagarbha and has got a little nameplate also, Hiranyagarbha. So you know that, because how will you recognize? Especially if it's subtle. So it has a little, those triangular, what are they called? Plaque. Name plaque. And then you go there and then you've already paid. Yeah, you have the $2,000 is the 2,000 hours of meditation that you have clocked in. Yeah, you have clocked in maybe 20,000 hours of meditation on Hiranyagarbha. So in a way, yad bhavitam tad bhavati. What you aspire, you become, and so you enter into Hiranyagarbha, so to speak. You gain that oneness. The Bhashya is going to tell all that and regale us, and then you become, you just become as though one. And then the only difference between tea with Indra and tea with Hiranyagarbha, let's look at the similarities. That's why I referred to verse number 5. From both there are bouncers to boot you off if you're sitting at the table for too long. Yeah. The bouncer is opposite of an usher. Yeah, the usher first comes with all these white gloved hands. Aiye, come, sit, eat, drink, one more tea, free refill, because you've already paid for it. Oh, you'd rather have coffee here? That is, the usher. Then you have somebody who's sitting for too long, without paying. Yeah, meaning why? The punya has run out in the middle of the second cup of tea. You put your pinky out to drink, to drink it happily. Just how the manner books have told. And you've consulted all the books and you put the little finger out and you're drinking the tea, and then punya has run out. And the bouncer comes and just, these heavenly bouncers are very subtle and they know their job. They just press one button and a trap door opens to Martyaloka. You go down the chute. Yeah. What is chute? Chutihi. Yeah, samsara, back to samsara. So you are not a chuta. That chuti is there. So that chuti is the chute. That's how the word chute has come. Yeah. Para, chute, yeah, that is all, Para is para, but they think you have gone para. Para means beyond. Yeah, but then chute, yeah, you come down. Chuti. Parat chuti, para chutaha. So, this is what it is. But what we call para, there is no Chutihi. Chutihi na vidyate yasmat tat paraha. That is para vidya, from which there is no coming and going, because it is not any going, it is not anything that is coming. Why? Because it is the nature of you that you are invited to, abide. The Guru here is the usher, there is no bouncer. This is what it is. You cannot bounce back from there. You don't have people, pressing some button, after exchanging some knowing glances, okay, that is the one, and the trap doors are placed conveniently so that, they take away the bone china cup and then they with gilded edges, with little cupids on harps, on the saucer, and then as you're admiring that, then somebody just relieves you of the tea, and then Dhadam you go, Kshine Punye Martyalokam Vishanti. So that was in verse number 5. Why? And that tea with Indra, meaning you're not just at a select table, you're in a big kind of a tea party, and Indra is, you may or may not get to shake hands, because poor fellow, he'll go around the big crowd and, he's doing his best. Yeah, Indra and Shachi are smiling and greeting everyone. Why? Because only karma, no meditation, this fellow has done. Who is this fellow? Jiva. Yeah, no meditation the fellow has done. The fellow has just, what's its name? Done some good karma and, what's that? Has earned the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest consumption of ghee and has made it to Indraloka. Now the difference here is that along with the yajna, has also clocked in hours and hours of meditation. So it's all quiet, nobody is talking too much, because you have one-on-one with Hiranyagarbha, and very few people have made it this far. And it, the tea includes snacks, not just some tea. Yeah, and then from there also you have bouncers. There also people are there exchanging glances, and they are all Chitragupta's Sena. Chitragupta is the person who clocks the karmic record, and as soon as that punya is also over, Hiranyagarbha is there, or we can also take it, since the context is Brahmaji here, Hiranyagarbha in the form of Lord Brahmaji is sitting, and Brahmaji, it doesn't make small time talk over tea. What will he do? He will teach Mundakopanishad. Which verse? This very one. Yeah. And then what happens? If you don't understand it, and if the moksha, this is what kind of moksha? Some kind of a krama mukti or videha mukti. This is, it's a very far-fetched kind of moksha really, meaning you are ushered in, you have done such a lot of meditation that you are directly ushered into the presence of Lord Brahmaji, and Lord Brahmaji with his great expertise will teach the Mundakopanishad. Which Mundakopanishad? The same thing that you are broadcasting in your house, the same Mundakopanishad. Yeah, only setting will be different. Yeah. And Brahmaji has a beard and 4 faces, and 4 faces. So you can face anyway. You can even sit in the back and learn, and you still get eye contact. So this is the nice thing about learning. But then if the learning doesn't take place, Kim Bhavet, what will happen if the learning doesn't take place? Yeah, the trap door will open. Yeah. In Indra's, tea, Indra's high tea, what happens? It is peppered by the sound of clank, 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 so many trapdoors opening. Here the trapdoors open very silently, because they are very well oiled with, Hiranyagarbha grease. They are well oiled. They just very silently the person is taken out. Taken out means what? Where does the person go? Chuti, back to samsara. Back to samsara. Right here, right now, back to samsara. Yeah, and the person grows, because that desire for Mundakopanishad has not gone, But also the desire for other things has not gone. So he is born in an ashram. Yeah, possible, happens. And because given another chance, or because there are certain other sanchita karmas predominating, can also go, because the conflicting desires can also go to some other yoni, tiryag yoni. What is tiryag yoni? Creeper that grows sideways, animal yoni. Could be like that. Could be a dog in the ashram puppy. Yeah. Ashram kitten, hangs out in the dining hall and doesn't leave the ashram also. When I was there, one time there was this very cute dog, puppy it was. Then of course when it's a puppy, everybody feeds it. And then it grows, because it learns to just beg, because everybody finds it so cute. Then it grows up, it's not so cute. But in its mind, it's still a puppy. It doesn't know. It is behaving just like it was taught to behave. And it's, begging from all the swamis, it's begging everything, food and everything. It was just making a nuisance of itself, this adolescent dog. So then the people, decided that they will take it to the next town, Tadagam, and leave it there in the bazaar on the weekly trip. They would take a little truck for the weekly groceries and they would leave it in the next town and then come back. That was the plan that was made. And so they left it in the town and they did their groceries and they went to Coimbatore, did their groceries, came back, and guess who was waiting wagging the tail at the ashram? This fellow. And Tatagam is 20 miles away. At 20 kilometers, if not miles away. We don't know whether it hopped on the bus and how it knew, or whether it walked. I mean, they checked its paws. It seemed to be fine, none the worse for its little shopping trip. And then 2 other times they tried to get rid of it, but it was already waiting for them by the time they came. Then they gave up. So this is the persistence of not leaving the ashram, that vritti is there, but the body is not there to enjoy the knowledge, to even desire the knowledge. Persistence is there. This is the right place for me is there. Now I'm not leaving, even if you make me leave, is there. Yeah, and then another time, there was one cat and one dog, not the same one, another one. And they were always fighting in front of the dining hall. And whenever we were eating, it was like, like this, this was our lunchtime, dinner time music. This was, we were serenaded by this always fighting couple. And then when Pujya Swamiji used to teach, they both would come, sometimes through the same door, sometimes through two different doors, and quickly get under the chair, under the pitha, here. And not one growl, not one meow till the class was full, lasted. In fact, the first time when they tried to do that, everybody got very worried and they all went underneath Pujya Swamiji's, seat and tried to drag them out. In fact, one of them was dragging the dog out by the hind legs, and the dog is fixed its paws. It's not trying, it doesn't want to come out. And Swamiji said, let them be. They are brahmacharis from last life who didn't get the knowledge. That's why they refused to leave the ashram. This is what it is. So they won't come every day to class. Only on very important days they would come. Like something like Mahavakya is being, then these two will be there. Quiet, not one sound, not a peep out of them. Otherwise, in the world, they could not get along even for a second. Always, this one would swat at the other one, and that one would show the teeth always. Whenever it saw the cat, one side of its lip was always up, like this it would look. And the other one, whenever it came, it would hiss, and when they were sitting under the Vyasa Pitha, not a sound. So this is all the various forms of Chuti that one can look forward to, if one doesn't gain this knowledge. This is what is in store. And so now let us look at the bhashya. Ye punaha tad viparitaha jnanayuktaha vanaprasthaha sannyasinascha. Yeah. So Adi Shankara is making very clear that we are talking of two kinds of people. One is, I already mentioned this, Jnana, one is, householders called vanaprasthins or vanins. Vanaprastha, the third stage of life. Vanin, in vana, living in the vana, one in. Yeah. And so vanaprasthis, where both the people, the husband and the wife, repair to the forest after giving the keys of the household and the kitchen to the next generation. Daughter, son, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, whoever it is, they just give it over to the next generation. Otherwise, if you live together, it's just a, it's a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Because always, they are, especially Indian parents don't know when to stop parenting. Yeah. They're always giving advice and interfering in the lives, and they make themselves very unwelcome, and lot of fights take place. I keep the chili powder here and you keep the salt there and this and that and all these things. And when the first fight with the next generation takes place, time to leave, really. Go somewhere, go anywhere, but don't live there, because they also need to rule and learn through that. So we in the system, we have a very good way. You just leave and go. This is not the time for you to, become territorial or continue to be territorial. You just leave and go. Finished. Done. And therefore what? You are in the forest living simply, roots, fruits and whatever. You are not taking bhiksha. But then who else is in the forest? Sannyasis in the forest. And sannyasis are not Vedantin sannyasis. They are Vedantaut sannyasis as per this mantra. Yeah, they are not Vidwans. In fact, there are, as I mentioned last week, there are many kinds of sannyasis who don't study, who have some value for seva, some value for meditation. So whole day they sit and meditate, whole day they just, pray, they do worship. So these kinds of sannyasis and simplistic living karma yogis who are on the vanaprastha stage. So this is what is mentioned here. Ye punaha, these people, and again, ye punaha means and again, punaha, ye means who, these people. Who are these people? Tad viparitaha. Viparitaha means opposite of the people who are described in the last 2-3 mantras. Who are those? Karma phala kankshinaha. The people who are counting their karma phalas and wanting this high tea and are thinking of them, even though they are in avidya, they are thinking of themselves as great vidvans and misleading others also and starting karmic cults. Cults where only karma is highlighted. Catch the nose, catch the toes, do this, do that, breathe here, breathe there, look here, trataka, pataka, everything, this is what they are doing. And so tad viparitaha. Here these people are not interested in a spiritual empire, neither are they interested in anything other than just minding their own business, doing their swadharma and living in a life of upasana, living a life of meditation and simple karma yoga. So tad viparitaha. And who are they? Jnana yuktaha. Jnana yuktaha means meditators. Not full of jnanam. That is the wrong understanding. So meditators. And what do these meditators? Who are these meditators? This is also pointed out. Vanaprasthaha sannyasinascha. They are sannyasis and vanaprasthis. What kind of vanaprasthis? People who have given up the household to lead a simple life of karma and meditation. What kind of sannyasis? sannyasis who pray and meditate. And then tapashraddhehi,
Tapashraddhehi,
tapah,
Tapah,
swa,
Swa,
ashrama vihitam karma,
Ashrama Vihitam Karma,
shraddha,
Shraddha,
hiranyagarbhadi,
Hiranyagarbhadi,
vishayaha,
Vishayaha,
vidya.
Vidya.
Yeah, so now what is this here? Swa ashrama. What is tapas? Tapaha here doesn't mean standing on one leg or any kind of austerities. Swa ashrama vihitam karma. Karma that is appropriate or enjoined for that particular ashrama. Swa ashrama vihitam karma. Swa ashrama vihitam karma means karma that is appropriately enjoined for your own stage of life, that pertains to your stage of life. Meaning, what do the vanaprasthas do? Lead a simple household. They will have a grass hut, a thatched roof, whatever it is, simple. Or even if they have a cottage, it will be just, minimal upkeep, simple cooking and simple eating, not a big spread every day, and what else, and not concerned so much with what will I get out of life and what should I do today, who should I invite, whose house should I visit. Oh, these people are thinking that I haven't come to their cottage, I have to go now visiting. That's not the point. Simple, and in fact there are many people like that in every town, especially towns like Eugene and all tends to draw people like this. They want to live in a box, box means 10 feet by 10 feet, and and they want to at the most sometimes 7 by 7, and they want to live in a small box like thing, 8 by 8 by 8 cube. They want to live in a cube, and then they will have some land and grow some small vegetables, and then eat that. They will be vegetarian because by this time they have grown to not eat meat and all these things, and then they will be, whether they meditate or not, they will go to simple things, farmers market they may go, but they avoid all these other crowds and everything. They live off the grid, and and even though there is no sun in Eugene, they still have more solar panels than the walls of the house, and then hoping to catch one ray at some some point or the other. And then what, they just live very simply, and then whatever extra they have, seeds and little saplings from after planting, they will put one sign free and put it on the side of the road. Other people also can enjoy, so they will give some sapling prasada, and so these are the kinds of people, and they may be meditating also, but the knowledge element is not there. That the problem is centered on me, and I have to address this big vacuum, of need, of desire, of want, of self-judgment, of fear. This I have to address. It's not there. That is the problem, So same thing. So you just extrapolate those kinds of people living off the grid, literally off the grid because they are in the forest. Yeah. How far you have to go to get a Wi-Fi signal? Yeah. What to talk of cell phone tower? Yeah, this is that kind of a place, because that is not the most important thing in their life. But then here, for us, all these are respected. This lifestyle of Vanaprastha is respected, not as an end in itself, as a means to preparing the Antahkarana for the teaching. But these are people who have made it into an end in itself. That's the difference. When the means become the end, what happens? The end for the knowledge. That's all. So the means are the end. It's like dressing up and staying at home, not going anywhere. And then so these are so they do their simple karma, swa ashrama vihitam karma. And then what is Shraddha? Shraddha here is described not as Shraddha of the qualifications, but Shraddha as Hiranyagarbhadi Vishaya Vidya. So all these Vidyas, what are the, what are these Vidyas? These Vidyas are like, what is that? Various meditations. So many kinds of meditations are there. And what kinds of meditations? Akshini Purusha, and then this Angushta Matra Purusha. You visualize a Purusha in the heart, and you visualize a Purusha in the eye. You visualize the whole world as the hands and legs and eyes and feet and the body parts of the Purusha. Like this, these kinds of Hiranya, Sarvatma Bhava type meditations that are designed to produce this bhakti and shraddha for this feeling of oneness, to access or temporarily or to be absorbed in this feeling of oneness. This is what is the meditation. Hiranyagarbhadi Vishaya Vidya te tapashraddhe upavasanti sevante aranye vartamana santah.
Aranye vartamana santah.
Aranye vartamana santah. Aranye vartamanaha, living in the aranya. Aranya means not a forest, but more like a wooded area outside the village. And what do? They live simply. These people are called tapashraddhe. The tapaswins are the householders leading a simple life, and the shraddhavans here are the people who are sannyasis, who are meditating respectively. So then they upavasanti sevante, means they have, sevante here means they are serving a simple lifestyle, in service of a simple lifestyle. And then what? Vartamanaha, living, remaining there. Santaha, Shantaha, Uparata, Karanagramaha. Yeah. So Shantaha means from whom the longings connected to the group of sense organs, the immediate longings have departed. Uparata Indriya Gramaha. Karana here Indriyas. Indriyas means sense organs. Karana means including the mind. That's why he uses Karana. So the mind is Shanta, there is Shama, they are resolved, they are not going. That's why they have repaired to the wooded area, because they don't want too much the noise of the hustle and bustle of the city. They are not interested in malls, they are not interested in movies, and they are just leading a quiet and ethical life. And so they have the desire for that Vivikta Desha Sevanam. That is why he uses the word Sevante. It's almost like Bhashyakara is remembering the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Vivikta Desha Sevitvam. A beautiful Samanvaya there. And so here, Upavasanti, Sevante, Aranye, in a forest devoid of too many people and too many activities. And that's why they are Shantaha. It goes both ways. Repairing to the forest, the mind definitely becomes Shantaha, because all these are cultivated desires. Malls, movies, balls, all these things. And then when they are not there, you really don't miss them. Maybe you miss them immediately, but after that, that's really not what you want. You don't even care. You forget. You forget the routines that you were in. And so living in the forest makes the mind Shantaha, makes the body also Shantaha. The eyes are not twitching, the hands and legs are not restless. It is just very easy going, and a lifestyle. So one is not so stressed out. And also, because you are Shanta, you repair to the forest, because you cannot stand the hustle and bustle of the everyday life. Right? Yeah. So therefore, you are Shanta. Both ways it goes. So Shantaha, Uparata means quiet and resolved, renounced, as though the Indriya Grama, Uparata means renunciation of sorts, as though the Indriya Grama means the group of organs, sense organs, organs of action, mind, etc., have departed. They haven't departed. If the sense organs depart, then yeah, that means Yama is, you're making eye contact with Yama. That's not what we are talking about here. Yeah. Sense organs haven't departed, but have as though Uparata. Uparata means they have renounced their favorite activity of tying themselves to new longings. That is where the renunciation. Uparata Indriya Gramaha. The Indriya Gramas have unhitched from their favorite longings and they are just remaining with you so that you can meditate. You don't have to go after them and bring them back. They are quietened. So Uparata Karana Gramaha, Uparata Indriya Gramaha. Very beautiful expression. Vidvamsaha, Grihastascha. And what are they doing, these Grihastas? Where are we? Jnana Pradanaha. Ityarthaha. Yeah, Vidvamsaha means what? They are Grihastas and they are Vidvamsa, not Vidvans. They are not Vidvans, even though it's called Vidvan. What are they Vidvans of? Meditation. They are very knowledgeable in terms of meditation. So Vidvan here only Upasanaya, in the form of Upasana. And so they are called Vidvansas, but actually Adi Shankara says they are householders, they are not sannyasis who know Vedanta. Jnana Pradhanaha means those whose lives is primarily given over for meditation. Bhaikshcharyam Charantaha Parigraha Abhavat Upavasanti Aranye Iti Sambandhaha. Yeah. So Bhaikshacharyan Charantaha is, even though strictly it's only for the people who are the sannyasis living in the forest, but Adi Shankara says it can apply as a upalakshanaya, in the form of the upalakshana for a simple life. Because bhiksha, when you take, what is bhiksha? What is bhiksha? We have to understand, because when we see, this is very misleading, because when the sannyasi is given food, it looks like they are enjoying themselves, because there is a big spread, wherever you go, along with a sannyasi for bhiksha, you see a silver plate, the size of the Olympic discus. Huge silver plate you will see, and they will take out from the cupboard, the householders who are inviting the sannyasi for bhiksha. They have never used this plate, and it is either purchased for the occasion or they have it tucked away somewhere in the cupboard, and they bring out this huge silver plate and then these shiny silver bowls. First the sannyasi asks for a comb and it's all you can look at your face in it, and then there is silver spoon, silver glass, everything is just chuck, shining, and then they bring the whole restaurant, it looks like, except it comes out of the kitchen of the householder, and all these beautiful things are presented, and then everything is served, everything silver, and there are so many dishes, it's like a feast. So one must not go away thinking, because this is very misleading. Yeah, this can be very misleading when you go with a sannyasi, when you go with a Swami, and you see the Swami just, what is that, having a great repast, and they are keeping on serving, yes, podango, put some more. And they are licking the chops, and you see the sannyasi, and then you get a wrong idea of bhiksha. You think that bhiksha means this is how it is, then the sannyasa life starts to look very exciting. This is fun. You go from home to home, and you get to eat in a big silver salver, and then then not only that, you eat first, other people look on, and then you eat. After you eat, other people pick up their plate, and then you look like this, and then what, everybody gives presents, and then everybody does lot of satkara. Satkara means like they do a lot of hospitality. And then, and then what does the sannyasi do? Pack up the presents and then go back to wherever the sadhu came from. And then the sadhu life starts to look very good. But this is just a occasional thing. Yeah. Because this is possible because bhiksha means the person who is invited for bhiksha, ideally and hopefully, is what? Is not wanting all these things. Yeah. If they want all these things, it is on their tab, we are not worried, but we invite them knowing not, we transcend the personality. Yeah. We are not looking at the personality, but we transcend the personality to invoke Bhagavan Vaishvanaraha. Bhagavan in the form of that, subtle Hiranyagarbha, who is in the charge of hunger, digestion of food, etc. So it's a form. Inviting the sannyasi for bhiksha is a form of yajna. It is a greatest form of atithi yajna. Because the best atithi is the sannyasi, the best guest. Because that sannyasi will never move in and will never overstay their welcome. Sannyasis are easy because they are eat and run types. They eat and they run. They don't stay for chit chat afterwards. And so this is all makes the sannyasi a very good guest. Yeah. And also it's an honored guest in the tradition because, this is the law of life, is that you always want to do more for the person who doesn't want that very thing. Yeah. This is the law of life. Even if you take the simple example in life of wanting something, somebody is wanting something, and the very thing that person wants, the other person doesn't want. This is how it is. And when you stop wanting it, you get it. This is the law of life. So here, if somebody says, invite me to lunch, make sure you make these 12 items. And then after these 12 items, make sure you have appetizer and dessert. The 12 items is just the main dish. Make sure you have appetizers, 3-4 of them, and make sure you have 5-6 desserts, and then only I'm happy. Will you feel like inviting that person? So, yeah, you won't feel like. You will say, even if you invite out of a sense of obligation, you will be thinking in your mind, when is this person going? Yeah, this is what it, because any person who is demanding, you don't feel like serving them. Even if normally you are a hospitable person, you feel like shutting down in the face of this kind of a person. But the sannyasi is not that kind of a person. Bhiksha here means, yadrichha labha santushtah. Yadrichha, yathechha means whatever is given. Yadrichha is not according to the sannyasi's ichha, according to the giver's ichha. Whatever is given, the person is happy, santushtah, is satisfied, is not, is happily eats whatever is put in front of them. That is what is the sannyasis, that is the jadoo, that is the magic. That is why this bhiksha charanam is the practice of this simple life is a blessing, because the palate, the tongue adjusts itself to whatever it is. The tongue is very interesting. You start to take this simple experiment. You start putting more sweetener. I will not say sugar for obvious reasons. So, because many people cannot have sugar. You start putting more sweetener in the tea or coffee that you drink, any drink, or iced tea, whatever it is. One day you'll say, "Cha, this is so sweet, don't like it." Next day you'll say, "Not bad." Third day, "Oh, this is the best." Fourth day you go back to what you were originally putting, you will not like that. This is how the tongue is. Same thing with salt, same thing with chips and fried things, same thing with chocolate, same thing. Everything. The tongue is the most addictive thing, really. And training the tongue is very difficult. And bhiksha is the tongue gym. Yes. If you want to give the tongue, a treadmill. Yeah. Actually, the tongue refuses to talk of this as a treadmill. It says dreadmill. Yeah. So, the dreaded mill. Yeah. So, if you want to give the tongue a treadmill, go for a bhiksha lifestyle. Because whatever you get, you have to be happy with. Because you bypass the tongue. Because it's not for the tongue, it's for the stomach. Food is not for the tongue. A little bit is assimilated by the salivary glands, but most of the digestion takes place in the stomach and small intestine. So a sannyasi is the one who may as well be on a feeding tube, because anything that is given is just, swaha, without, without demand. That is the thing. Whatever is given is eaten. Happily or not, it is eaten. That is the whole hallmark of bhiksha life. So bhikshacharyam charantah. It's a very holy life. So these are sannyasis here, but upalakshanaya, by extension, you can extend this logic to also simple living householders, even though they are not going for bhiksha, they are not allowed to go for bhiksha, but still they are, what is that? They are going along with what is. And then why is it a upalakshana? Why is it an example? Parigraha abhavat. What is it an upalakshana for? A non-grabbing nature. Parigrahanam. Grahanam, grabbing. Grasp. Grah, to grasp. Pari is all round, you are looking what to grab. That is parigrahanam. Parigraha means, the general person's, the person's nature, the nature of the masses in general is parigraha. They are all called parigraha. Means what do? They look around to shore up more security by having longing for and redirecting their lives towards gaining something or the other, which they think they don't have, which they think they will make, it will make secure. So parigraha means people who are of the grabby nature. Aparigrahanam is a sannyasi or a vanaprastha. And to denote this aparigrahanam, the non-grabbing nature, because they are not out to get something or the other, it is called, this word bhikshacharanam has been used, Adi Shankara explains. That's why they live in the aranya. So the forest is also connected to the simple lifestyle. Forest, bhiksha, all this to show a non-grabby lifestyle. Iti sambandha. That's why it is related to this particular point. So what happens to them after they drop the body is discussed next. Suryadvarena. Surya upalakshitena. Uttarayanena. Patha. Te. Virajaha. Virajasaha. Kshina. Punyapapa. Karmanaha. Santah ityarthah. Yeah. So Suryadvarena te prayanti. That is the line. Third line is being discussed. Suryadvarena. What is this Suryadvarena? We saw earlier how the punyas are caught by the playful sunbeams and are transformed and held at bay, transformed into the red carpet, etc. We saw that, right? Yeah. So then Suryadvarena, so there are two, ways, modes of leaving the body. One is through the front door, Suryadvara. One is through the back door called lunar path. Solar path, lunar path. Lunar path. Solar path means what? You get the red royal carpet treatment. Yeah, you go to the heavenly Buckingham Palace and those, those attendants who keep changing with those bumblebee type caps. They are welcoming you and they are marching past you and they are doing a salute, and through the front door with Queen Elizabeth herself standing there and, welcoming, in one's dreams, right? Yeah, that is how far-fetched this is. So that is why I am telling you this. So this is the Surya Dwara, very difficult to get. Archiradi Marga, Uttarayana means Uttarayana Kala, but that's just a Upalakshana. From January to June, if one passes away, then the next life is a better life, some feeling they have. But all this is just based on certain belief. But then the Archiradi Marga means you have to have led this life of Upasana. Without Upasana, the Archiradi Marga doesn't mean anything. So then what is the lunar path? Chandrayana, not Chandrayana, that is this thing, but this Dakshinayana. Dakshinayana is the back door of Buckingham Palace, where the service boys, the cooks, the servants enter through a little thing when, discreetly, where nobody notices, only people in servants' uniforms are entering. And even their riffraff is not allowed even through the back door. So this is the back door. Chandra Marga. So this is the two kinds. So if somebody dies between July and December, they say this, I don't know what the thing is, but the belief is there. And so these people who do meditation and their own karma and they lead a simple life and they do lots of meditation, they are taken through the front door of the Hiranyagarbha palace, and where the livery greets them, and where they are ushered with what is that? Rose water being sprinkled on them, flowers being put on their head, and they are told to come inside, and they are given a welcome drink of Soma juice. And so this is how they will go after they drop the life. So who are these people? What do you need to do to get there? You have to become Virajaha. What is Viraja? Vigataha Rajas Yasmat, from whom all Rajas has departed. Rajas here doesn't mean Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Rajas here means, Ragadvesha. All? Well, Chhatri Nyaya. What is Chhatri Nyaya? Keraliyaha, Chhatrinaha, if you say. All the people who are in Kerala are carriers of umbrella. You have to be, in Kerala you cannot go without umbrella. Yeah, Kerala means umbrella. That's why both end in LA. Kerala, umbrella. That is why it is called Kerala, because everybody, carries umbrella. Carry umbrella, Kerala. So this is the funny kind of samasa compound. So, Sarve Keraliyaha Chhatrinaha, if you say. Or you go to address a rainy assembly, a monsoon assembly, pun intended, in Kerala. Then everybody will have to come with the Chhatris. So you, instead of when the assembly is going on and somebody is addressing, politician, sadhu, whoever is addressing this assembly, you don't see the faces. You see a sea of umbrellas. Correct? Yeah. So then you say sarve, ete sarve Chhatrinaha yanti. The Chhatrins means who is inside the Chhatri is going, meaning the Chhatrinas, you just see a sea of umbrellas. So you conclude everyone has an umbrella, correct? All right. But does everyone have an umbrella? Question mark? No. There will be some conjuice people who go inside other people's umbrellas and stand, or who stand in between two umbrellas playing dodgeball. So those people also might be there. Lazy people who forgot to bring their umbrella, conjuice people who don't buy their own umbrellas, who live off the umbrella of others. All those people are there, correct? But then they are all included under the umbrella of this logic called Chhatri Nyaya, correct? So here also, Chhatri Nyayena Virajaha. Virajaha means not all the Papa Punyas have departed. Some are still lurking in the umbrella of the Antakarana. Not all of them have departed, but since a lot of them have departed, we say all of them have departed. Why haven't all of them have departed? Because Jnanam is not there. Yeah, knowledge, self-knowledge alone can make one rise above the Ragadveshas and give you the cognitive strength and the cognitive clarity to transcend the Ragadveshas by trying to get rid of them, by knowing that they cannot exercise an influence over you. That is what the thing is. You're not trying to get rid of them. Ragadveshas are those that haunt. They arise as bubbles from the unconscious. I want this, I didn't get this, I'm unhappy, I'm upset, I'm cranky, and I need a hanky. Whatever it is one is crying about, that all these come from the unconscious. The unconscious is called apasmara because it haunts. Smaranena eva. By recalling which it haunts. And I told you the upasarga such as ava, apa, adha, all these prefixes, are to be avoided. They are bad news. So apasmara means that even thinking of something which is bad news, old memories, etc. Where are they? At Lord Dakshinamurti's foot. Yeah, they are at the right foot, below the right foot, in the form of this truncated inner child. First it looks like a little child wearing a diaper. But then when you go close, it is not a child at all. It is this dhoti wala. He is wearing a dhoti. He's got mustache. He is only truncated. It's a truncated, mutant inner child, unprocessed emotions, completely offensive with a big, sword in one hand and defensive with a shield in the other. And some of the apasmaras carry a kind of a venomous snake. So whatever it is, it's not good news. But you see, even for Lord Dakshinamurti, the powerful beacon of self-knowledge, the Adi Guru, the teacher, even for him, he is not trying to eradicate it. Why? Because it is Ishvara Srishti. Why is the unconscious Ishvara Srishti? The unconscious is Ishvara Srishti because there is no other place for the child to keep its, emotions which it doesn't understand and cannot possibly process. It goes to this little bank called the unconscious, and later on it comes out to be processed, and it has to be processed in adulthood only. There is no other way out. And finally one feels safe enough to feel unsafe, and that's when, usually after marriage, and that's when it all comes out and is processed. And so this is when there is trust, the unconscious comes out. The same thing in the teaching situation. After a few classes of Vedanta, unconscious comes out. And the person should not come to the wrong conclusion and say, Vedanta is making me feel sad and angry. It's not Vedanta. This sadness and anger, it is feeling, finally giving you the space to welcome this and process it and deal with the fears and tears that have plagued one for a long time. So the point is not to eradicate or disown this apasmara. The point is to put it under the foot and say heal, H-E-E-L, H-E-A-L also perhaps, so that you don't come and scare me and come unannounced. So you are suspended. That is the whole thing. Your effect is suspended. This is possible only through self-knowledge. That is why Lord Dakshinamurti, the embodiment of self-knowledge, has one foot over this truncated inner child. The collective unconscious of the universe can be healed. Hala hala jala ugalaya namaha. The one who swallows the poison of this unconscious, the collective poison of unconscious in the form of this, which is called hala hala. This is in the Dakshinamurti Ashtotra, the second last name comes. This is what it is. And so, the one who has swallowed the, meaning has rendered it defenseless. Only when the raga dveshas are rendered defenseless and when they don't interfere in the day-to-day running of your life, in the show that you run, then only you can be called viraja. So these people are not totally virajas, only by Chhatri Nyaya, since most of they have worked very hard to, quieten down the raga dveshas, and since most of them are there, since they have Shuddha Antahkarana, relatively speaking, they are called Virajaha, not fully Virajaha, because that is only possible through knowledge, self-knowledge. And then what happens to them? Virajaha Santaha. And what is this Viraja? Kshina Punya Papa Karmanaha. Prayashaha, not always, not fully, Prayashaha, mostly. Kshina, you know, from whom it has from kshaya, kshi, to decay, from whom, in whom, kshinaha, in whom has decayed papa and punya. Not just the papa punya, but the desire to accumulate, the focus on the papa punya and the karmas that bring those papa punya thereof have declined. So that emphasis has declined. Santaha ityarthaha. So what do they do after the body falls? Prayanti, prakarshena yanti, yatra, yasmin, satyalokad, satyalokadau, amritaha, sapurushaha, prathamajaha, hiranyagarbhaha, ही अव्ययात्मा अव्ययस्वभावः यावत् संसार स्थायी एतत् अन्तासु गतयः अपरविद्या Gamyaha. Yeah. So we will come back and see that sentence, those two sentences. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Please make an altar in the break right here. Yeah, and decorate.
Somebody come and get the particles of this.
She has.
Okay. They're here. Okay.
Yeah. So